What is up, geeks and gamers? We are back. It's your boy Q and QMG. And we're back to bring you guys into the QUNIVERSE, where we talk to you guys about everything geeky, gaming, and nerdy. Can we get a celebration for being back?
Oh, yeah.
What is up? Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We are back like we never left. Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Like, it's just the fondness that one's heart can have when you know you've been gone for a nice little minute. It's just unbelievable, unmatched. So.
And QMG, we are back, and what a lovely way to start it off, but to talk about Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Go ahead and just set a nice little lovely template for the game, the geeks and gamers at home.
Oh, of course. First of all, shout out to LaValis Cummings for winning in a football game y'all had no business losing if that was the case. So that's all you're getting. We not talking about nothing else because y'all should have won that game. If y'all would have lost it, that would have been an entirely different subject. But back to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Last we spoke 2 weeks ago about it. We were talking about the very early reactions to the film, how it was getting overwhelmingly positive reviews based off of the singular award ceremony that it was about. Now it's done multiple award ceremonies up until this point, and to say that this movie has a lot of momentum and real award contention behind it would be a massive understatement. Everyone who has laid eyes on this movie, it's even started to hit a couple of casual markets overseas in some degree. They have spoken highly about the Joker. It is being universally agreed upon that there will be a before the Joker movie and an after the Joker movie. It's cleaned up at like we spoke about last time, the Venice Film Festival, the TIFF Film Festival, and Joaquin Phoenix was celebrated, and the Joker movie won big awards. You know, a lot of people who are responsible for nominated movies, they've said that this movie is getting best picture. It'll be a shame, a crying shame, and a complete 180 if these people do not give the Joker a Best Picture nomination, and most assuredly, Joaquin Phoenix will get a Best Actor nomination regardless of anything else. I've personally been making sure I've not seen anything on the Joker past the last trailer I've seen, no TV spots. Yeah. I know some people on social media, namely Twitter, have been leaking some clips and story beats from the Joker, and I made it my mission to avoid that completely. Thankfully, I'm not following a lot of those people. I'm not following a lot of those people who were leaking that info, so that's a good thing in and of itself. But yeah, this movie is looking to be like that one movie that no one expects. No, let me rephrase that. That one movie that should change the game and will change the game. In the early 2000s, well, no, let's kick it back even further than that. In the beginning, it was Superman 75, Superman's first movie. Then in 1989, it was Batman. Then in 1997, it was Blade. Then in 2002, it was Spiderman. 2008, The Dark Knight and Iron Man both. 2012, The Avengers. And now we've reached another film we've reached another film, another turning point that's seemingly going to change the game forever, and it looks like it's going to be the Joker.
Mm-hmm. Whoa, you put a lot on that one. So you really putting your eggs in the basket with this one.
I mean, let me just keep it 100% buck. Is the Joker going to make $1 billion overseas? No, because of the nature of it's an R-rated movie, a hard R-rated movie, grounded in realism, focusing on a character who is not in any way, shape, or form reliable or good. Mm-hmm. But as far as a film and what comic book movies can be and what comic book characters can be realized as, the Joker seems to be once again that movie that changes the perception and will potentially usher in new movies that can, so long as they keep the soul of the character, they
100% certain this movie is not gonna be trash, but that's for another day. We're gonna discuss that. You go ahead and keep on commenting. We know this movie's not gonna be bad, but I'm definitely thinking it's gonna be the notch under Joaquin Phoenix's belt that solidifies him as one of the greatest actors of our generation.
Yes.
Now,
so back to the movie Walk the Line. That was the Johnny Cash movie.
Yeah, Walk the Line, where he portrayed Johnny Cash. But as far as, it's gonna be a torn group of people. It's gonna be the group of people who are gonna compare him to Heath Ledger's Joker, whereas a group of people like myself who's kind of looking at it as its own tangent, and I want to see another good Joker, because me personally, I like Jared Leto's Joker. I don't really try to compare roles of the Joker, but that Heath Ledger Joker is always going to be in someone's shadow. It's always going to be someone's shadow. So obviously, for the first about month of the movie coming out, people are going to have scene by scene comparisons or try to see whose Joker is better. But at the end of the day, I feel like this is a more fleshed out Joker. This has more weight to it, substance. So people are going to I feel like it's a time to, I don't want to sound bogus, but it's about time to hang up Heath Ledger's Joker coat and allow somebody else to come in and do their own thing. That's where I feel like the movie is going to take it, especially with more substance and meat to it, and more story, actual, not definitive, but a what if Joker origin story. So
yeah. Another thing I would to go to what you're saying. While I do agree that there might be some talking about the comparisons between the two, I full-heartedly believe that will not be the crux of people's observation of the Joker. I think that might be a reasonable thing to talk about, all things considered, based off of what will more than likely be the official talking points of the Joker, in that its effect on society as a whole. I don't think that, I would like to say in a perfect world that was the biggest concern that the movie would have going for it, is that it's going to be who's the better Joker, Joaquin Phoenix or Heath Ledger, but that's not going to be it.
Because if you not to cut you off, but if you want to get deep into psychology, the Joker, his character isn't that. It's kind of a look into the human psyche, because it's not that different. What if a character like the Joker were to come into our time? Would people be against what he's doing, his anarchist ways, or would they be like, somebody needs to do it? Somebody's here to change the norm of what's okay.
Well, I believe that's my thoughts on that is, as a person and we spoke about this at length before, but as a person who has played a lot of video games, consumed a lot of media of the horror and action variety, to me, people who think like that are inherently not it should be clear cut, distinguished that type of thinking isn't the correct way of thinking. That's for people who have a detached sense of reality from society. Yeah. And I feel like if you get that out of the Joker, then that means you're getting the wrong things out of it. Because like I said previously, the director isn't trying to make you sympathize with the Joker,
which would be kind of weird to people who only seen trailers and didn't do research, because the trailers 100% make it feel like this is going to be a movie where you empathize with the Joker.
Yeah, if you don't do, even then I can kind of see the name The Joker should tell you that.
Yeah, but it's still, just because it's the Joker, if you look at the trailer spots, it's a lot of times where, like I said before, the relationship with his mother, kind of like Norman Bates in Psycho.
But that was a toxic relationship.
But it's still empathizing, because his mother did that to him. And as far as the trailer, when he was just being a regular party clown and got mugged, and he's in a psychiatrist and talking to her, looking very sad and trying to put a smile on, trying to cheer up the little boy on the subway, and his mother's like, "Why are you looking at my son?" And all
but that goes back to what the movies that inspired the Joker, the movies that inspired the Joker, like Taxi Driver, like one of the most misunderstood movies of the past 40 years. And that movie, for those who don't know, Taxi Driver is
Robert De Niro.
One of Robert De Niro.
Shout out Robert.
It would be a very disservice to say that is the definitive performance, but Robert De Niro has more definitive performances than most people have ages on their lifespan. So that's something else. But Taxi Driver was a film about a detached individual who looked at the society around him and felt like, oh, there's things in my area that are bad. So I'm going to perceive it as the world being mirroring it, and I'm going to try my best to go out and try to stop it. Almost like a pseudo Punisher with to take it to the extremes, and the movie's telling you that, the movie in and of itself is telling you that this guy is not, he's not right in the mind. This isn't the correct way to go about it.
Okay, but don't we also empathize with the Punisher?
No, we're not supposed to. That's the empathition. That's not a word, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Empathizing.
The empathization of the joke of the Punisher is a failure on most creators' part. The creator of the Punisher, Gary Conway, has stated numerous times that the ultimate intention of the Punisher is a villain, is a flat-foot villain. He's not supposed to be empathetic because he's using his family's death as an excuse to mercilessly take other people's lives and be judge, jury, and executioner of it. Yes, it's sad that his family died, but that doesn't give one the right to take the law into his own hands, take other people's lives into his own hands, no matter how you try to splice it, because that indicates that, yes, that's basically saying that there is no redemption in anyone. And that when I mean that's a failure on other creators' parts, is that rather than lean into it, they create fantastical villains for the Punisher, like Jigsaw and other Punisher villains. I'm sure he has that escape me. And it's kind of glorifying it to the point where you have police officers rocking Punisher skulls, and that's not good. And you have people trying to emulate the Punisher, which is not good. It's very much not. It's very much like a very slick. It's very much a very slippery slope with the Punisher. And I encourage, though, there's many articles, and I've been discovering this myself, that especially from black writers, that break down the similarities of the Punisher's mindset with those of the police officers who rough up these young black adults, men and women, and these pseudo vigilantes like your George Zimmermans, and their mindset and the similarities that go through it. Now, I'm not saying that
I don't even put the Punisher in those same.
Well,
no,
you should.
No,
you should. What's the difference? Punisher,
drug cartel, mafia
that are now put in there to create a false identity. That's not the incorrect. I can understand if that was what
Punisher wasn't just going around killing just a guy robbing a bank.
Yes, he was.
Just show me. Nope, not right now. Anyway, let's go back. I digress. Hey, you guys in the comments, isn't that crazy how the word digress just popped up in 2019? Everybody just, I digress.
What? I digress has been out there for years.
But not everybody wasn't just saying digress. Not everybody in their mama. You
weren't saying digress.
When did you ever say digress?
I've said digress in high school maybe about 5 times.
Psych. How convenient. A time I wasn't around you. But anyway, I digress.
Life moves around people without them necessarily taking part in it.
True. So, but back to the Joker.
Yes.
With that being said, do you feel like with the Joker's so much popularity even before the movie was even released, does that open the door to maybe a sequel or a prequel? Well, not prequel, but a sequel leading into him doing anything with the DCEU or anything to that nature?
Well, Todd Phillips has already said no. There's none. No matter how successful the Joker is, there will be no crossover with the DCEU. And he also basically, while he didn't outright say no, he left no indication that there would be any continuation of the movie, regardless of the Batman connections, which he has not said. Which he said that there will not be no. He's not pretending like the Joker will continue to exist without Batman eventually showing up. Now, he didn't say outright that a Batman type origin will be in the movie, but he did say that just because the Joker is grounded in realism, do not take that as the Batman not showing up, even if he doesn't outright show it. So that's one thing. But he said that his main intention, number one goal, is to show Warner Brothers that DC can do these movies for other DC characters. That is his plan. That's what he wants to accomplish. Not any sequels or crossovers, but see other darker DC characters that might or that might not be light enough to exist in an expanded universe, whether it's the pre-established one or a new established one, and basically create a safe space for any DC characters that want to, a space where they can tell a condensed story that tells a singular storyline that can lean into darkness and seriousness and realism.
Me personally, I wouldn't want to see Joaquin Phoenix Joker in the DCEU either. It's not a make or break. He doesn't need the. We understood that when this movie was announced that it was a what if tale. We understood this, so there's nothing that is wanting me for him to be in the DCEU. It's not make or break. I'll have this movie in its own contained space. If we don't get another one after this, I think I'll be fine, because obviously within the next 20 years, I'm pretty sure we're going to see about 2 more Jokers in the next 20 years. So I'm not bent out of shape. I'm not heartbroken. I feel like it can stand on its own, and we could just watch it for what it is and leave the movie theater feeling like, whoa, we saw a definitive Joker movie.
Right. I 100% agree, and I feel like if this will go into our last topic, this is going to our last topic, but I believe that we need a balance of cinematic universes and standalone tales. We can't just have one or the other. We need both, because that is, people always talk about what is comics and staying true to the comics. Well, staying true to the comics is sometimes you're going to have stories with famous characters that doesn't tie into anything.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're going to have a character who has the pre-existing history, and you want to see them interact with other people. It's the balance of the two. You can't just take one or the other, no matter how much you might want it. So with that being said, we will hop over into our second topic of the day.
Okay.
Hit them with the doxing bell, and as you can tell from the attire that I'm wearing, and vaguely from the attire Q's wearing, we're rocking some anime influenced themes right now, and that is because in 22 years, Pokemon has been the top dog in terms of family-friendly anime, and its main character, Ash Ketchum, has never won a Pokemon League. He's been duped, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived, whether it was in the Sinnoh League, where he literally had to face off against 2 legendary Pokemon that was not previously established up until that point, and got washed, and then got, in the Black and White era, got washed by a kid with 5 Pokemon that he just randomly came over. They just randomly got watched by him. And then we don't even talk about the Kalos League and the garbage that took place there.
So what happened?
I'm building it up.
Oh, you're building it up.
I'm building it up. The Kalos League, with Ash Greninja and the garbage that took place with that, we're not even going to go there. But now, after 22 years of waiting, Ash Ketchum is officially a Pokemon League champion. No, we need something more appropriate for this.
Turn down for what? Turn down for what?
So yes, ladies and gentlemen, Ash has finally overcome his greatest demon, LeBron James before him, after being seemingly the best, only to come up short when it absolutely mattered. He finally won a Pokemon League. Now, granted, this is in Japan. This episode is not aired in the Americas, or anywhere else. This is in Japan. But earlier today, or last night for them, the episode aired with Ash finally defeating the last competitor to win the Alolan Pokemon World Championship.
My boy Ash has finally done it.
Finally did it for the boys back home.
That was one of my biggest gripes. I have 2 biggest gripes with Pokemon as an anime. One, Ash never gets older, as far as a respectable time scale, but he's fighting all these grown people. Number 2 is he never wins the big medal. He never wins the number 1 spot, and to have him win the number 1 spot is definitely a long time coming. It's definitely very much warranted, and I'm very happy that they finally made him win. Now maybe we can get a major time skip. So,
yes. Another thing that I like, and honestly, we're gonna take it further. It's not just you. Don't get it twisted. Everybody's major gripe with the Pokemon anime, is that that Ash never seemed to come up, come out on top. It always came out short, which is my personal biggest gripe with anime, and how they never had their characters go through decisive victories. It's from Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super is the biggest culprit of this, and that there was seemingly no major victory until the very end, or the seeming end of Super. And Ash,
a lot of shonen animes get their whole 1, 2, 3 cadence from Dragon Ball. So
yeah, and I get that. I get that 100%. But then that's just. I don't want to go into it because I don't want to sound racist saying, "Oh, I don't like that," because
unless you're One Punch Man.
But
that's decisive.
That's always decisive. Which is why I like One Punch Man. But it's the simple fact that it's okay to lose, because that's how we learn. And failure, we learn. We learn through failure. Learn through trying to do something and not always succeeding, and then you come back and you do it again and then you succeed. But sometimes we get stuff right the first time. Like sometimes we do get stuff right the first time.
True.
Sometimes we do actually prepare correctly to win, to succeed the first time. That's not
like Batman.
Like that's not something that is uncommon.
Yeah.
That's like, take Kawhi Leonard for instance. He went to the Raptors his very first year and won the championship. Kevin Durant,
because KD was
Kevin
hurt.
Durant, he went to the Golden State Warriors.
KD was hurt.
Kevin Durant went to Golden State Warriors. I know they were the super team, but that didn't mean that they could have meshed inherently, and they did. And he won the championship
twice.
The first time, I'm talking about the first.
I know.
Specifically the first time. It takes. Yes, you have people like Michael Jordan who was in the league, and then when he finally got started to get a team around him,
played his first time to the playoffs.
No.
Them bad boys, man.
Yeah, I'm saying.
2 years in a row, them bad boys.
I'm saying,
beating the brakes off them.
That's my point. That sometimes you fail, and sometimes you can.
You still the GOAT. I'm just saying, them bad boys didn't play with them.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you fail your first time, your second time, or even your third time.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just get it right the first time.
Yeah.
And I feel like animes in general should be mindful of that, because while it's okay to have Goku lose to Jackie Chun in the first ever world tournament, does a car really need to stop him from winning the second one against Tien? And then we have to see him win against Piccolo, and then he never fights in another world tournament? Do I really need to just...
Actually, he does. Oop.
No, he doesn't. They disqualified him.
And he fought in the world...
They disqualified him.
PyCon.
That's
count that as the underworld tournament. Well, the heaven tournament.
That's not a camp. PyCon doesn't exist. But you have to. I feel like that's if anime. He definitely lost. He literally lost.
No, but you said you never saw him fight again in a world tournament.
Yeah, that's not a world tournament. That's the cell game. That's unofficial.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's you. I feel like anime needs to remember a balance of that. Like sometimes it's okay to have your main character win an early tournament and then maybe get arrogant and then lose the next one and then come back and win the other one and then just do it like that. You don't have to go 22 years and have the main character.
That was horrible.
The main character whose main gimmick is befriending Pokemon easily and bringing out their latent potential.
That was
and
horrible.
Then always come up short.
Like, how did they think that it was going to work? Like, they just in there, like, yeah, man, Ash doesn't need to win anything. We're going to teach kids that you can't always win, right?
But then at that point, you're not even teaching kids you can't always win. You're teaching them that they'll never win.
Like, what were those guys thinking, man?
And me and you were talking about this earlier. There was an earlier creative on Pokemon who stated that their intent was never to have Ash win a world tournament unless they were deciding to end the anime. So, but he unfortunately, not only he did leave the show after the second season, but also he did pass away very recently.
R.I.P.
So there's that. But yeah, I don't even think that they need to end the series. If Ash wins a tournament, then guess what? He'll just have to train to win the next one. And if he wins, he wins. If he don't, he don't. So,
but yeah, definitely. I'm just happy, man. Just happy that Ash finally has won. As y'all know, I'm a huge Pokemon fan. Got the chain. huge Pokemon fan, so they see Ash finally win is leaning more towards them making the anime better for the in the best direction. Even though, if you want to be honest, if you guys kept up with it, he won that specific tournament with the MacGuffin. So
no, we not. He didn't. He won decisively in the end. So that's all that matters. And he did win some side tourneys. He won the Orange League and he won the Battle Frontier. But that's not the World Tournament.
No, it's not.
Now, the Pokemon games, the Orange Islands doesn't exist, and Battle Frontier is just the end of this loop. You don't win nothing for that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So now we're gonna do some quick fires before we hop into the last topic. So let's get it on. So the absolute first quick fire topic is in regards to Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinzel. And it just had its first teaser trailer at the beginning of It Chapter 2. Q, would you like to share a quick fire thought?
Shout out. Guys, go see It Chapter 2. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. Great. Everybody who was cast. Bill Hader, breakout star. Shout out Bill Hader. Man, the movie was really good. It's definitely, to me personally, better than the first one. If you like the first one, you guys will definitely like the second one. Go check that out. It Chapter 2 in theaters now. But before we start, not to cut you off, before we start, like I always say, appreciate, from me and QMG, love and appreciate the support. You guys keep tuning in to Into the QUNIVERSE every Sunday. All we gotta say is you guys can like, comment, and share, and just keep the comments going. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know how you guys are feeling, and constantly keep watching us on our other websites, on our other social media sites, as well as YouTube at Enter the QUNIVERSE on YouTube. You go ahead and subscribe and like and comment. On my personal Facebook page, Quentin Ziegler on Facebook, Quamon Star G, his personal page, the Enter the QUNIVERSE Facebook page as well, and the Geeked Up Media page. All those will have all of our content where you can go and watch edited versions and leave comments. Let us know how you guys are feeling. Appreciate the support.
But yes, back to Birds of Prey. It dropped its first teaser trailer, which was phenomenal. It was very much properly well received, and it is going through its reshoots, which will now implement the specialty of the fight coordinator of the John Wick film.
Woo!
And it is going along swimmingly from everything I've heard. It's got Margot Robbie doing her own stunts, which I read up on, and she did that for Suicide Squad as well. She did a lot of her own stunts in that film as well. So that just goes to show her level of commitment to this movie. So Q, after seeing the trailer for yourself and hearing the news about the John Wick fight coordinator coming in to do some action reshoots, what are your thoughts on the film?
From the trailer, it wasn't just a lot that it had in it, but it definitely, I think the movie's going to be good. I think it's going to be very comedy oriented, more than a lot of other DCEU besides Suicide Squad type movies. I think it's going to be good. Now, as far as John Wick choreography,
yes.
I'm just recently getting into John Wick. Saw 1 and 2 about 2 weeks ago. And man, if it's on the level of that, yes, let's go. Because I've already recently said Black Widow needs to have that type of choreography and the Winter Soldier choreography kind of akin to each other. Because Black Widow does some of the same moves John Wick does. So I would love to see that implemented in this Birds of Prey movie. If you have the money to do it, definitely get it out there where your choreography and fight scenes for kind of natural humans fighting is on point.
Speaking of which, with Black Widow, it was just recently reported that in a flashback sequence, as we all know, Black Widow takes place in the past. Robert Downey Jr. will reprise his role as Tony Stark in Black Widow, which makes a lot of sense since Taskmaster is the main villain in the film. And if anyone's familiar with Taskmaster's comic book origins, he's actually, what spurs him to be a supervillain is being turned down by Tony Stark to be his new bodyguard, because at the time Iron Man and Tony Stark was presented as two separate individuals, with Iron Man being Tony Stark's bodyguard. So that makes sense that Tony would show up in the film. But I had my own sneaking suspicions as to why they announced that and why they're actually.
You feel like they're trying to bring Tony Stark back because of Spider-Man is out of MCU?
Well, that and
whoa.
Let me finish. I don't mean they're bringing him back to life. That's not happening. I mean they're bringing him back into the movies this soon is because one, there's no more Spider-Man in the MCU. We'll get into that in a little bit. And two, because Scarlett Johansson just won't shut the fuck up.
Whoa!
And she keeps saying ignorant, terrible things that are just not, that aren't, like when I say offensive, I don't mean opinion, like on an opinion basis offensive. Yeah. I mean just flat foot, objectively offensive.
So you feel like Robert Downey Jr. is to soften some of the blows of stuff that's going on outside of the movie?
It's 100% to soften the blow. It's 100%. So even if you are tired of Scarlett Johansson, you might want to go see Iron Man again, which a lot of people will do that, but I'm more than likely not.
How many scenes do you think he truly can have? About two scenes?
Really? I don't know. Hey man, if they shoehorned him into Spider-Man like he was goddamn Batman, then I'm pretty sure there's no limit to what they'll do with Black Widow. And if they do try to give him some sort of, we're not gonna put him in there too much, and they did that with Spider-Man, then I'll really be pissed. But
I don't have no problem seeing Robert Downey Jr. back. Now, I don't feel like he should have a major role in the movie, but he should have two scenes where it solidifies why he was Iron Man.
I don't know about all that. I personally don't think we should see him again at all, unless you're just going to commit to bringing him back, and that would be stupid in itself.
Books.
But no,
people get brought back all the time.
I mean, if they're going to make
Captain America's soul consciousness got put into a bullet.
You're missing what I'm saying. I'm saying in the context of the MCU, not comics as a whole, but in the context of the MCU and the hoopla they've made. Maybe they will just flat foot retcon Far From Home as the first official thing that happened after Endgame, and maybe they will make that bite the bullet situation to do that. But if they're not going to do that, if they're going to try to bring back Iron Man, then they might as well just bring back Black Widow too and say nobody died.
Yeah.
In Endgame,
but then Endgame wouldn't even matter.
Well, my point exactly. If that is their intention, which I agree,
which I don't think they're going.
Which I wouldn't put past Marvel to do.
I don't think they're going to take in that direction.
We are
bringing everybody back so early.
I mean, they don't have Spider-Man to tie people over, and from the sounds of it, they're not trying to rush the X-Men outside of what they've already announced. So, speaking of Iron Man and the X-Men, Kevin Feige, this happened yesterday at the Saturn Awards, which is basically the sci-fi movie and television award show. He did a special presentation showing an exclusive, buried, hidden, deleted scene, and it is the first ever post-credit scene from Iron Man 1.
Oh, where he talks about everybody.
Yeah, but Nick Fury subtly name drops not only the Incredible Hulk, which was the next MCU movie, even though it wasn't called that at the time, but also name dropped Spider-Man and the X-Men, which at the time makes a lot of sense because this movie, shooting-wise, had to have been shot 2007-ish when Spider-Man 3 was in theaters and came out a year after Spider-Man 3 and 2 years after X-Men The Last Stand. And Kevin Feige, who's always been an executive producer on all of the Marvel films up until now, more than likely would have put that in there as a nice little Easter egg. And it goes, I'm going to talk about this on this show sometime in the near future about the theory of mine that Kevin Feige has been pushing for a cinematic universe as early as 2003's X2. But I'm gonna go on. One of these episodes, you will hear me talk about that. But this just goes into that. So, Q, what was your thoughts on that?
It's not really too much to have thoughts on. I'm pretty sure out of the comic book genre, if I make a movie with people who've teamed up multiple times with these other characters, I would feel like that's what I would be leading to if it was me producing and making the movie.
Yeah.
If I put Spider-Man in there, of course I would want him to team up with the Fantastic Four. Of course I would want him to team up with the X-Men. It's kind of like hand in hand. I wouldn't want to think of everybody in these, even if it was just that character in his Rose Gallery, I would want him to team up with Silver Sable, Black Cat, Daredevil. Like, it's kind of like...
And you're speaking in general.
Yeah. And I would feel like if I was the producer, and like you said, Kevin Feige put that in the movie as a deleted scene, I would think that way as well. I would want to make an extended universe with these characters who are known to have extended universes in their own medium. So
yeah. So there. And one last thing, quick fire. there is reports that the second official casting for The Batman is due. It's not this week, next week for sure, and it revolves around Catwoman. I've heard from reputable sources that they've locked down the actress. I'm not going to say the name of it because I'm not entirely sure. We're not it's not entirely sure because there's been some other things brought up about it. But yeah, it definitely goes in line with one of the reports that it is a woman of color, not a woman of Caucasian descent. It's definitely a woman of color that has Cuban and Spanish in her lineage because that is Selena Kyle. She's Cuban, American, Cuban, Spanish, however you wish to quantify that in DC. Okay. So, Q, what is your thoughts on them not going for another Michelle Pfeiffer-esque Catwoman, but more in lieu with a woman of color for Catwoman?
Well, this isn't our first woman of color Catwoman.
I mean,
Eartha Kitt, Halle Berry. We've had multiple women of color actually play this role, so it's not.
Well, only one of them has been Selena Kyle, and that's Eartha Kitt. Halle Berry's Catwoman was just a completely different character.
Yeah, but
I mean specifically Selena Kyle as a woman.
I don't feel any type of way because I didn't like Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. It was very boring, very plain, very whack. No disrespect to Anne Hathaway, you can still do your thing. Love some of her movies. But that specific movie with her playing that character was very horrible. So the taste that Anne Hathaway left in the mouth of Catwoman lovers, I feel like we can see it.
Now, I just want to let you know that you are 100% in the minority in terms of Anne Hathaway's Catwoman.
I don't care. It was horrible. Anyway,
so I don't think a lot of people are going to be pressed.
I don't hear anybody speaking on Anne Hathaway's Catwoman as, oh my god, this Catwoman was amazing.
Then you need to open your ears.
Nope, I've never heard. Never even seen any top 10 where people even speak on Anne Hathaway's
there's only been
Catwoman.
about 5 Catwoman, so it's going to be hard to do a top 10.
I hear people talking about Michelle Pfeiffer's.
I mean, really nobody talks about Eartha Kitt either, or the other chick.
I've heard more about Eartha Kitt than I heard about Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, Eartha Kitt was there before. Okay.
I digress.
As you said your piece.
I digress. I'm not done yet. I digress. I'm using that word all day. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, I don't feel like it's really any much that anybody can say. I don't feel like there's going to be any backlash. I don't feel like anybody's going to bat an eyelash once this character gets announced. So
you'd be surprised, and from what I said, you'd be surprised.
No, that's how I feel. I feel like it's not really a make or break at all.
Well, now it is time to go for the last topic of the day. We've been alluding to it, and now it's time for us to go full-fledged into it. And it's about the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
We always gotta talk about Spider-Man. If y'all don't know by now, we talk about Spider-Man every week.
Well,
and listen, as long as there's something,
it's circumstantial. Let's put it like that. Not through choice. It's circumstantial. So,
let's get ready to rumble!
Yeah. So, as of this week, there's no hoax, no illusion, no what if. It is officially closed between Disney and Sony as far as Spider-Man is concerned. There are no more talks, no more contracts, disputes, no more anything. As it is now official, Spider-Man is gone from the MCU and seemingly will never return there in the foreseeable future. Tom Holland is still Spider-Man. He's still contractually obligated to be Spider-Man. That is been debunked so that there is some sort of out in his contract. He is 100% Spider-Man. I have no idea about that director, John Watts. Neither do I know about Zendaya or any other cast member in Spider-Man. Marissa Tomei, that's not from the MCU. I have no idea about them, but as it stands, he is no longer in the MCU, can no longer be used in the MCU, no longer can reference the MCU, and the MCU can no longer reference him. It's a completely different thing.
Tragic.
And that's it, and that's all. So I'll start to kick it to you, Q. What are your thoughts and feelings on that now being our reality once again?
Well, so now that it's seeming,
and we're just going to focus on our personal feelings. We'll expound upon what could mean in the future, but right now it's just our personal feelings on it.
Well, since you have made it so narrow right now, I don't know what to say. I guess I don't care. I didn't cry my tears. I don't. It's over now. I don't know what to say. We're past that point. We've reached the threshold. There's nothing else to say. There's nothing else to do. We just gotta ride the wave now. Maybe down the line, somebody will just be like, well, let's go ahead and work with Marvel. We're not making enough money by ourselves, which can still happen, mind you. Now, I'm not saying that it can't happen down the line, but as of right now, it doesn't look like they're doing anything with Marvel. But all we can do is ride the wave, because I'm pretty sure if both sides make less money, if both sides are hurt by the decision, I feel like even though we don't want to work together, it's going to make us both a lot of money to work together. So we have to see how this first Spider-Man movie back in Sony works.
Well, first, let me get my feelings out of the way. Personally, I'm happy. I'm not going to lie. I'm happy.
You're drunk.
While I was felt better about Far From Home watching it and even thinking about it. I hadn't watched it since, but even thinking about it, I still like the movie. But overall, I feel like Spider-Man's tenure in the MCU was a bust. It was a failure. It did nothing for the character. He was only there, like, you know, when you're a kid or you know a friend that has this one thing that they do well, and they have their parents, you know, come down here and do that Michael Jackson dance, or come down here and quote that line, you do it so well. That was what Marvel did with Spider-Man. They didn't accentuate anything he naturally does on his own. They just had him there to prop up all of these other C and B tier characters. Basically have him be the Robin to everybody else's Justice League.
He beat Vulture.
No, he didn't.
He did?
No, Vulture was under the thing that was going to explode. Peter tried to say, hey, move! And he didn't listen. And then he pulled him out right before he died. And he absolutely did not beat Mysterio, so let's not even go there. He absolutely lost to Mysterio.
How did he lose to Mysterio?
I can tell you who Spider-Man's real name is.
So, but he beat him.
No, he did not.
He dodged
the last thing we know.
He put the gun in.
No, Spider-Man, and until it's retcon, Spider-Man is perceived as a villain that killed the greatest hero and had his identity exposed. He 100% lost. That dodging, that weak ass spider sense that they did was whack and didn't help him win at all. Spider-Man was a bust in the MCU.
Got a hater.
It's not. No, there was no. He was Robin. He wasn't Spider-Man.
Got a hater.
That's not even something that is. It's remotely. He wasn't Spider-Man. He was Robin.
Yeah.
There was nothing Spider-Man about.
I can agree that they did more. I could agree to that they did more of him being a side character to being the main guy.
And even in his own solo movies, it was a bust. It was, especially, and I keep going back to this, and I'll always go back to this. When the MCU is supposed to be this super duper film franchise that cannot do any wrong and can always put out a blockbuster hit and all of this blase, and your main concern is not making the best Spider-Man movies you could possibly make, but just shipping him in every superhero movie that he's allowed to be in and make him a side character, just so you can say, oh look, you know that random comic book panel where Spider-Man is standing with a bunch of Marvel heroes? We're here, something like that, rather than going, oh, you know that awesome Spider-Man 2 movie that you all like? Well, here's a better version of that. Or, you know, Into the Spider-Verse that everyone agrees is the best superhero movie ever made? Well, here's something better than that. No, they're just like, oh, we're going to literally make him Iron Man. Which my number one fear was that they were going to do it Far From Home. And you talked me down and said, no, they're going to say he's just going to be Spider-Man. And they never did that. The implication was he has to be the new Iron Man. Not even the first Spider-Man, but the new Iron Man. And that makes it a complete and total failure. And I know that's not why Sony took the rights back, and they really didn't want to take the rights back. If you believe the reports, they were willing to work it out with Disney, but Disney wanted more and wasn't going to accept less. So that's why. But in terms of crying a river about Spider-Man not being in the MCU, I don't. I like I said, I have faith in Tom that no matter, so long as he's getting a competent script, I know he has the capacity to kill it as Spider-Man, or whether Iron Man's standing next to him or not. So I'm not concerned about that. Venom and Into the Spider-Verse, and even Spider-Man PS4 to a certain extent, shows me, along with the past Spider-Man.
Did you just say Venom?
Like I said,
Venom was definitely a 6 out of 10.
Nobody cares about what you're saying about Venom right now.
Venom sucked.
And like I said, no one cares.
You like Venom?
No one cares.
What do you give Venom out of 10?
I give Venom an 8 out of 10.
8?
Yes. So,
8?
But back to my point about Spider-Man.
You putting a lot of on that, but
am I?
Yes, Venom was trash. Venom wasn't even Venom. If you want to talk about portrayals of the character, Venom was nowhere near Venom.
See, now you're comparing a two-dimensional character.
No, but Venom was trash.
If anything, Venom gave Venom more character than he does in Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
What character does Venom have outside of Spider-Man when he's with Spider-Man? If you're gonna answer me that
question,
question,
Venom were you talking about? Flash Venom or Eddie Venom?
Neither of which had character outside of
Flash Venom didn't?
No, he didn't. Only thing Flash Venom had differently was that he was a flat-foot hero. That's it. He became a Marine and became a paraplegic. That's all before Venom. He was a Marine in 9th before I.
But I'm saying when he became Venom, he was a paraplegic who wanted to still do something for his country, so he gave him the symbiote, which allowed him to become Venom.
He was still doing that to a limited capacity before Venom. That all was established before either you and I were sitting here doing this.
Guys,
Venom was not a compelling character in the first place. That's why so many people were against him having this.
So Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock was just a fleshed out character. No.
Yes, he was. How wasn't he?
No. I came from San Francisco. I'm a guy who is volatile to every relationship I've ever had.
Now you're trying to say he's the most. Like I'm saying, he's the most fleshed out. I'm not saying he's not. He's the spitting image of what a fleshed out character can be. But he is a fleshed out character enough to be somebody I give a damn about watching.
We could agree to disagree.
We certainly can. But back to Spider-Man. It's something that Sony has shown me that they know how to handle Spider-Man properly. And
with Amazing Spider-Man?
Yes. I like those movies.
See, trash.
Q, you think Grown Ups 2 is the greatest movie in the world?
No, I don't.
Yes,
I like the movie, but that
you literally said, and I quote, Grown Ups 2 is the greatest movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Then I proceeded to list off a bunch of legitimate greatest movies that you have seen.
I said it was a good movie.
No, you have literally.
I said it was. No, I didn't say it was the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Now you're gaslighting him. Now you're trying.
Oh, I said it was a good movie.
No,
I liked it.
You said it was the greatest. I would not.
Out of all the movies I've ever seen, I said Grown Ups 2.
You said it was literally the greatest movie, one of the greatest movies you've ever seen.
No, I said I liked the movie a lot.
You are now telling your fit on internet, on live internet.
No, you were trying to gas up Grown Ups 2.
No.
Like I just said it was
You did say that.
No, okay.
Or else I wouldn't sit here and constantly
Well, I'm saying this to the internet now. Grown Ups 2, I like the movie. One of the greatest movies of all time.
And now you got your elbow pads on, you got your helmet on, you got your flash or your reflectors on your bike, and what you're doing now is backpedaling. But we're not talking about Grown Ups 2.
The internet doesn't know what really happened. You ever seen Orange is the New Black? Who told the real joke?
I don't like
Carol or Ball? Oh, sorry. I know all my Orange is the New Black fans. Shout out to y'all.
Anyway,
Carol and
like
Ball.
I was saying, Sony has shown that they know how to do Spider-Man, not Robin, not Iron
Sam
Man,
Raimi,
and all of that other things. And they've shown that on numerous occasions. They literally created the best superhero movie of all time involving Spider-Man. So I trust them more than the people who, every time you ask a director or writer about this, they only default to, well, he can't play with the other Avengers anymore, and don't mention a damn thing about what the fuck they could have done with the character as a whole. They don't ever talk about Mother Luckin', how they could have,
Just what? Why are you stopping mid-thought?
No, I'm sorry, because my grandma tried to Facebook call me.
Oh, bless your heart.
She's trying to do that right now.
Well, shout out for grandma love, y'all. Shout out for grandma.
Hold on, let me handle this real quick because she's going to keep doing it.
Just keep.
I was wondering why I got this under control. Let me do this. Sorry, you gotta when your grandmother's calling. You never know. You never know when you're gonna be able to talk to her. So. Yeah, anytime. Before we go on to the next point, because this is a major point that Q wanted to talk about specifically. Spider-Man is in good hands in the MCU, out of the MCU, and Sony is not going to mess this up. And the reason I say that is because Q brought up a very good point.
Did I now bring up a good point? Did I really?
Yes. It didn't involve saying Grown Ups 2 was the greatest movie of all time. So
I never said that.
Sure. Now go, Gil, come on. I've wasted enough people time.
Yeah, you did actually. Anyway, we were so rudely interrupted. No, seriously, in all seriousness, to the good stuff. We actually were discussing because the simple fact that Tom Holland Spider-Man is back in the Sony's court, that it's a possibility if all the workings and all the gears get to turning and get to moving, that there's a possibility we might have a Spider-Verse movie featuring Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and the ultimate Tobey Maguire in their own Spider-Man story. Their all own Spider-Man story, and it's a possibility if everybody's willing to work on that project, it's a possibility that it might actually come to fruition. And that's the best thing I think I've heard out of this whole fiasco, that this is a possibility of happening in multiple spectrums. We might even get them in the Enter the Spider-Verse as cameos. So that's the silver lining in this whole fiasco. If we get some fruition and get more on it and keep on going is forward and learning more about this whole situation, that's what I'm most looking forward to seeing.
Yes, and I agree totally about that. I've said this previously, that there's a lot of plans for Into the Spider-Verse and any type of spin-offs and sequels. I think I mentioned before that originally they wanted to have the 3 live-action Spider-Mans cameo in a capacity in the first Into the Spider-Verse, but they couldn't get everyone there at the same time, so that was unfortunately nixed. But yes, it could very well be that's what they should do and what they will do, because Sony have read the room enough. They've taken notes enough to know that they know what people want to see from Spider-Man, what they don't want to see. And my personal belief is that they're going to do that. That'll probably take up 2 movies with Tom, have him team up, have him his solo movie, and then his second movie will be him teaming up with the other 2 live action Peter Parkers, and then maybe show up Into the Spider-Verse 2 or 3, and then make that the mainline Spider-Man universe. Keep it animated. Do something new. Ties back into what I was talking about with the Joker, doing something new, and then having the cinematic universe and something else differently to go alongside it.
Yeah.
And, retire live-action Spider-Man movies.
That's never gonna happen. Spider-Man makes too much money.
Yeah, and animation.
They're not gonna retire live action. I 100% believe they're never gonna retire live action Spider-Man.
And they could probably be still profitable.
I highly doubt they're retiring live action Spider-Man.
But why would you?
When have we retired any live action superhero?
Well, there's never been a reason to.
Because
there was never a emphasis on making it a significant animated version. There was never a significant.
I don't think
there was never a significant. The only other one was Mask of the Phantasm for Batman.
I was just going to say, as many major Batman movies we've had, acclaimed Batman animated movies, no one's talking about.
But they've never had. But only one of them has had a theatrical release, and that's Mask.
Are you saying none of them could have had theatrical releases?
No. Not all of them could.
So Phantasm was better than Dark Knight and Dark Knight Part 2.
What are you talking about? Dark Knight Returns?
Yeah. So Mask of the Phantasm was better than that.
You're confusing quality with what is continued.
Because the Dark Knight Returns in Part 1 and 2 could have had theatrical releases. That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't think so.
But Mask of the Phantasm,
because the whole reason they did Parts 1 and 2 was because they were animation, and they didn't. Those movies, and if they were to get a theatrical release, then I'm 100% sure they would have just combined the 2 and sent it out.
Then that movie definitely could have had a theatrical release.
And then, personally,
that's what I'm asking you. Is Mask of the Phantasm better than The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2?
In my opinion, it does tell a better story. I mean, Mask of the Phantasm is a very cool, original story that focuses on the animated series Batman. The Dark Knight Returns is a very stylized, very cool, action-paced recreation of Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. The problem with that is almost every modern Batman movie has referenced that story in some capacity.
It's a major story.
But listen what I'm saying. It's not necessary, per se, to just throw that out there when there's been at least 2 major Batman movies that's made significant plot points of that story. Now, do I think that they could have made... Do I think that they could have made another specific Batman animated movie that make it theatrical? Yeah. But I don't think that any of the pre-existing ones necessarily could have. Unless they were going to add stuff to it. But then they run the risk of over-bloating it. So, personally, if they made an original Batman animated movie and put the same effort and care into it like they did into the Spider-Verse.
Batman Ninja was trash. That was a new story.
It wasn't theatrical, but it wasn't theatrical. And it's not an original story because it's based off of some DC short stories.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, well, with that being said, going back to what we were talking about, definitely between me and QG, the main focus is always bringing the best quality to Spider-Man. I think we both, even though as much as I like the MCU version, as much as he kind of thought it was lackluster, we both really only care about the care and attention to detail to Spider-Man and good movies being made. But with that being said, we want to go ahead and end the podcast here. Spider-Man, we love you. We want to see good movies. Joaquin Phoenix, we ready to see your movie on October the 4th.
Yes.
Anne Hathaway Catwoman was trash.
Sure.
All right. Go ahead and thug us on out, man. You already know. You know how we get it down.
Let's get it up.
Gonna thug it all out. This was Into the QUNIVERSE. I'm your boy Q.
And I am QMG.
And we just brought you guys into the QUNIVERSE where we talk to you guys about everything geeky, gamey, and nerdy. And tune in next Sunday. We'll have you guys right. We'll be talking about some more topics. And you guys like, comment, share, and go to our other social media sites on YouTube and on Facebook at Into the QUNIVERSE, both sites, and as well as our personal sites, Quentin Ziegler at Facebook and Quan Star G at Facebook and the Geeked Up Media sites. But with that being said, this was your boy Q, and we are signing out.
Game over.